Hello everyone and welcome to Orf. My name is Philip and once again I'm kind of making a video about something that I originally wasn't going to make a video about, but you know, I signed up for this and so now I just kind of have to. I'm just messing with you in all seriousness. I actually kind of have become interested enough in this to actually make a video about it. I'm just going to be giving my 2 cents on this, and if you're just here to see my opinion on who actually won, I don't think this video is going to be for you. But if you do plan to stick around, let's get into it together, because honestly, this has kind of gone further than a lot of other rap beefs that I've seen lately. The prime example I can think of that is, I guess, the most recent is probably the beef that occurred between Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion. And there's one comparison I can make between that beef and this beef, mainly with Nicki Minaj and Drake. Because just like Drake in this beef, Nicki kind of went on record implying that she had some sort of dirt on Megan Thee Stallion that she was like planning to release but like chose to keep secret, essentially sort of posing this like empty threat that like, oh, in 24 hours the world's gonna be against you and I'm gonna win because of this crazy information I have about you that I think she just didn't at all. It was just a complete lie. And I guess it's a little bit too early to tell if Drake actually has some extra dirt on Kendrick that he's sort of like saving for later, not telling anybody about right now, not going public with it until just the perfect moment. But come on, if you actually had some sort of knowledge on Kendrick that you wanted to make public, you probably would have made it public by now. Especially since a lot of fans seem to think that Kendrick has kind of backed you into a corner. Now, if you're watching this video but somehow haven't heard about the beef that's been occurring lately, let's just review the main points of what's been going on. If there's a starting point for this, it's back in March with the song Like That, where Kendrick took a shot at Drake and then Cole sort of was roped into it by association. He released his own diss track. A lot of people seem to think it was kind of mediocre, and then Cole just sort of apologized. So quoting from Forbes, the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar has turned into a historic moment in rap. Kendrick has released 4 diss tracks in 4 days, each more brutal than the last, and Drake appears to be struggling to keep up. I find it kind of hilarious that Forbes made an article titled Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, who won? First of all, implying that it's over, which, yeah, we kind of have a hint that it's over, but like no confirmation on that yet, of course. I guess if enough news articles sort of end the battle for them, it would sort of cause either of these guys to accept that yes, it is over. You know, as if it's like not up to them, but up to the media to decide when the battle is actually done, which I guess in a way makes sense, because if enough people seem to clearly think that it is over and that one of you beat the other, it would probably deter you from releasing any more material related to this sort of beef. But they titled this article Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, who won? And the second paragraph, they're over here using this statement, arguing over which of the 2 artists is quote unquote winning. It's almost as if they put the quotation marks on the word winning to sort of say, hey guys, just to be clear here, we're not really going to be stating who won the battle, because it's not up to us to decide if there even is a winner. That's a more subjective decision, and we're just a news article, so we're just trying to be as impartial as possible and not really get ourselves into the beef and start throwing out accusations of who did better than who. And with that said, Kendrick fucking destroyed Drake, he bent him over backwards, just fucking. Your article is literally titled, Who Won? And yeah, a lot of people are saying that if there is a winner, it's probably Kendrick. And yeah, I can definitely see why that's the popular consensus right now. But at the end of the day, this kind of just turned into something that was so ridiculous and heinous that was it really necessary? You know, I don't have this voice in the hip-hop community, and of course if you're backed into a corner, then yeah, you're gonna want to snap back at whoever did that to you. But actually the sort of issue that I have with this whole beef is not necessarily the fact that they're making very serious claims in their songs. I mean, people do that all the fucking time. It's actually more kind of the fact that a lot of these claims could very well be baseless. Drake has accused Lamar of physically assaulting his fiance, while Lamar has accused Drake and his inner circle of pursuing underage women. You know, the line about Drake being a certified pedophile in Not Like Us is, it's a pretty big deal. You know, it's pretty big one. So why is the beef over? Well, The Heart Part 6 was kind of seen as a little bit worse via most of the fans. You get this tweet here that says, Drake dropped and it missed. That wasn't a diss, that was a declaration of defeat, with over 50,000 likes at this point. So at this point, it seems like this beef has been completely removed from any actual like internal issues or sort of communication between these two artists, and has just become a complete back and forth of who can make the better track, who can drop the hottest bars, and whoever doesn't do it first loses. Here's another bold tweet from Wow That's Hip Hop. Family Matters is one of the best songs he's made and the peak of Drake's rapping in this back and forth. That was his red button and what he thought would end it, and now he's gassed out and scrambling. There's nothing left, lol. So the popular consensus is very clearly like, he didn't do it first. He was the first one to not have a fucking fire-ass track, so he's gone. Done. Lose. These beefs are built on getting a response from people, and in the case of Drake, even if he has no business doing it, even if it's gonna end in tragedy, Drake is gonna say something. So it's almost as if he had the mentality of like, I gotta win this. Which, if anything, sort of acknowledges that you feel threatened by Kendrick, right? Because the only reason you would be trying so hard to get back at Kendrick through your diss tracks is probably because of the fact that you're acknowledging that Kendrick is a pretty freaking influential, popular dude in the world of rap. And just like in the Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion beef, right? What do you do if you feel like your time is slowly coming to an end and you feel threatened by it? You're gonna try your hardest to stay afloat. You're going to attempt to pull out as many stops as possible, even if those stops are bars that aren't even 100% confirmed or true. But in the case of Nicki and Megan, it seemed like Nicki definitely had more to worry about, right? More skeletons in the closet, so to speak. In the case of this beef, though, it seemed like both of these artists kind of had an equal number of things to throw into their diss tracks, whether they be 100% true or not. And so to me, once J. Cole sort of backed out, so to speak, it seemed like all these accusations flying back and forth have sort of created a level playing field, so now nobody's really judging it on the information that's put into the diss tracks. It's just being judged on talent. And when these two artists are using information that might not be true, trying to squeeze out as much stuff as possible in a limited amount of time, and with both of them representing very different styles of rap in general, do we really need a winner? Right? Do we really need a winner? Can't we all just like take a step back and like, you know, see what's true and what isn't and just make our opinions from there? I alone have no control over it. As a matter of fact, if anyone has control over it, it's all of the fans grouped together. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to decide who won the beef. And if people think that's Kendrick, then yeah, it's Kendrick. There's no scoreboard here. So at the end of the day, what did we learn? Well, we learned that Kendrick is good at making this style of hip-hop. Drake is good at making this style of hip-hop. From popular consensus, it seems like Kendrick might be better at his craft than Drake is at his. And we were also just reminded / told that Kendrick and Drake might be all of these terrible things. And that's it. So this is definitely going to have ripple effects in the hip-hop community that could last a long time. And ultimately, if you have a voice in the hip-hop community, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, you know, just remember, if you think you're losing because all of the fans are just against you, the thing that fans want to see is both of you fighting each other, not to the death, but as long as possible until it gets boring. There's really nothing that happened here that changed the opinions of a huge number of people or really like ruined the reputation of either of these artists. Feels like all it really did is make the fans of either of these artists feel conflicted and feel like they either had to stick with their choice or move to the other team. Which, you know, man, at the end of the day, probably isn't the healthiest thing for the hip-hop community to do. So while the back and forth diss tracks are over, it's going to be interesting over the next week or two to see if any extra information comes to light, if any of these rumors are proven or disproven. But it feels like a lot of people are really freaking out over a lot of information that might not be 100% true. That's all I'm going to say about this. Hope you all have a great evening. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.